There's two elements of trusting yourself. The first is trusting that you have what it takes, trusting that you can achieve something. And that means betting on yourself. Again, remember, your brain's a prediction machine. So it's going to make a prediction. Can I do this? And whenever you try to answer that question, your brain will kick off what I call inner propaganda, which will prevent you from sometimes believing in yourself in that case. But believing in yourself requires that you make certain declarations to yourself, things that you bet on yourself. And that means being able to be good at knowing what are you going to say to yourself? How are you going to communicate to yourself about your capacity, about your ability? And so the first thing to be able to do is to recognize that whenever you bet on yourself, you're not betting yourself, it's not always a sure bet. It's not a guarantee that you're going to be successful. But when you bet on yourself, you're making a declaration. This is what I believe I'm capable of. And then you put yourself to the test and you say, I'm going to do everything I can to achieve that. So you set yourself an ambitious goal that pushes you forward, that drives you in that way. But by setting that goal and by telling yourself, this is what I need to be able to go after, you're making a bet as to whether or not you can achieve this. And the difference between this and what most people do is most people, they evaluate whether or not they think that they have what it takes. They go, I don't know if I have what it takes. But my argument would be, you'll only know if you have what it takes if you give it 100%. And so if you want something enough, and you have even a fraction a bit of evidence that suggests that there might be a chance, a small chance that you can achieve it, and you really want to be able to go after it, then give yourself every opportunity. In other words, the only way to figure out whether or not you have what it takes is to give yourself as much effort and energy as possible to go after it, to really do whatever it takes. Because so often we write ourselves off before we even had a chance to be able to make a real effort. So to bet on yourself, decide what is it that you want to accomplish, and then figure out what is it that I would need to do in order to achieve that. As opposed to, have I got what it takes? The only way to find that out is through action, not through thought. We can't just think and go, oh, I don't have what it takes. It's action that will allow you to know whether you have what it takes. So you do everything you possibly can in order to particularly achieve it. And by doing so, you put yourself in a much better position as a result. So that's one of the most important elements to being able to trust yourself and building confidence. But there's one other area, and this is to do with creating change. And there's 4 of the C's that we talked about earlier that is particularly relevant when it comes to trusting yourself. And that means when you're communicating with yourself, the first thing is you need to be candid with yourself. This really translates to what we call self-awareness. Being honest with yourself about what you do know, about what you don't know. Now, this doesn't mean limiting yourself. It means recognizing your current state of play. What are you good at? What are you not good at? And what is it that the gap between where you are and where you want to be looks like currently? That's what I mean when I say candid. The second piece is consistency and reliability. And this means making sure that you do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. And this is the most important element. The reason we fail with New Year's resolutions, the reason people don't successfully change habits is largely because they don't trust themselves. When they say, oh, I'm going to go on a diet, they never follow through. I'm going to lose this amount of weight, they never follow through. If you want to create change, you need to start to become the kind of person that when you say it to yourself, you do it. You don't bullshit yourself. You do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. And that means not making promises to yourself unless you're 100% committed. It means being more careful with the promises you make. Be more careful with the goals that you set. Be more careful with the changes that you declare that you're going to make. And when you do make them, raise the stakes. This is critical, that whatever you say you're going to do, and if that means making a small micro wins, right, easier, smaller wins to accomplish, that's what you do. And you build momentum that way. But it means start treating yourself as if you're promising someone else something. Pretty much most of us will feel bad if we promise someone something and then we start to feel bad in the same way towards yourself. It's critical because you want to become the kind of person that when you say you're going to do something, you actually follow through. Then we also have clarity. This means get your thinking clear. Be clear about what your expectations are. Be clear about what you want. Be clear about what you need to do to get there. Be clear about what questions you have. A large part of clarity comes with the questions you ask. So start to become better at prompting yourself, what I call brain prompting, asking yourself smarter, better questions. And then finally, demonstrating care, right? That means self-love, treating yourself with compassion. So on the one hand, you want to be able to be relentless with yourself and not allow yourself off the hook and go, oh, well, I was going to do this, but then this happened. Make it so that when you make a promise to yourself, you push forward and do everything you can to achieve that.